Welcome back to Switch Corner. It's time for our weekly look at the best deals across the Switch eShops for the US, Canada, UK, EU and AU. As always, this Saturday edition is any price goes, so I will say it can be a little demanding on the bank account. If you want the cheaper side of life, check out our Thursday edition where we keep everything sub $10 or your local currency. Over on that video as well, right now we're also giving away a copy of Celeste and a copy of Thronebreaker, A Witcher Tales for the Nintendo Switch. Then, in this video, finally, we have two winners to announce as well from last week's video for one of two $10 eShop gift cards. We'll be announcing them as always as we work through today's list. As always though, this week we have two more gift cards to give away. So all you need to do to enter this week, drop a comment down below. With that, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and let's get started. Gotta say, we've got a pretty long list for you today. This one's coming in with 12 games, and I'm even throwing one at the end that you absolutely must defy because, well, it's just a complete disaster, honestly, so you can look forward to that. Our first game of the week though, Bloodroots. This hasn't been on sale now in about 3 months, and a few weeks back I actually featured it in my Tuesday Hidden Gem series, and the comments, they just absolutely blew up around it with just interest, so this timing couldn't be more perfect. That's because it's back on sale with an all-time low of 30% off, and I absolutely adore this game. The idea is this: you play as Mr. Wolf in the Weird West, and after some betrayal and being left for dead, you are now on the hunt for revenge. There ensues a whole lot of comic book violence where the world basically becomes your weapon. So think, the more traditional fare, like your guns and all that good stuff, but then the likes of barrels, ladders, and even carrots. Yes, you can stab a man to death here with a carrot should you be inclined that way. Super fast paced though, extremely challenging, but you'll easily sink hours into this one, just kind of pressing repeat as you try it over and over again. It kind of owes that brutally challenging but just one more Go style of gameplay to Hotline Miami if that found itself in a more cartoonish world and then attached platforming. Really great game and well worth the price. So next up then, the Coma 2 Fisher Sisters. I adored the first game, which actually came out, I'd say, to mixed reviews, but this one, it just took the formula and just really polished it in every area, absolutely elevated it. Horror fans though, I urge you to take a look at this super stylized 2D side-scrolling horror adventure, where the first one, it placed you within a nightmare world set within a school with a demon teacher hunting you down. This one still has that kind of element, the school and everything else, but then it creates an entire world and set of locations around it for you to explore. It's not really a combat focused game, this one. It's very much find items, run and then hide, but I was really impressed. If you're thinking too, but I haven't played the first game, I wouldn't worry about that too much. It has some links, and sure, those that did play the first one will probably get a little bit more out of it, but it really doesn't matter if you jump in at this point. Also, weirdly, the Coma hasn't been on the eShop now in some time. It was taken down right around the release of this one, so if you do even want to play that first game, you're gonna have to hunt down a physical copy of it. New all-time low here though at 30% off, and I really did like this one. So Dungeon of the Endless now, and I intended to review this one on the channel. That was before it absolutely just kicked my ass. This is a surprisingly challenging game that's also full of pretty complex systems. At a high level though, I'd look at this as a dungeon crawling roguelike with tower defense elements. Starts simple enough, honestly. You'll have a small squad, but then things just quickly escalate and you'll be defending the generator of the crashed spaceship you're within. There's waves of enemies coming at you, working out your inventory, and then just trying to escape this weird world. With 40% off, it's an all-time low price, but if you are considering it, I would suggest here, watch a few reviews first and just make sure it is a game for you. So while I'm on Strategy 2, Warborn is on sale again, first time in about 3 months. It's a great, if kind of simplistic turn-based strategy entry. Here though, you'll find yourself at war with different political factions, and you must fight your way to victory with all sorts of mechs. It has a decent enough story, it takes place over 40 missions, and it's just kind of giving you multiple viewpoints on this current political climate. But then you can put on top of that a traditional quick play mode, online play, local play, and even a map editor. I was impressed with this one, and while I will say I do wish the campaign was just a tad longer, it did enough still, and I can get behind behind recommending it, especially with the 25% off and that all-time new low price it's offering right now. So another all-time new low now, and this game is Vampire with 55% off. I actually only added this one to my collection maybe a few months back, as I originally faced it on the Xbox, but I gotta say it's a solid port, and it's just overall a super interesting game. Here you'll find yourself in London during 1918, and you take on the role of newly turned vampire Dr. Jonathan Reed. As a doctor, you're out to find a cure for the city's flu-ravaged citizens. As a vampire though, you're killing all these lovely folks you're saving. A solid story though, this one. I gotta say, I love the way they've got these conflicting feelings within our main character's head. I won't say it's the most action-packed of games though, it has combat, but it's very much taking a backseat to just kind of building this story and the mystery of this world. What makes this one so interesting though, it's the choice it gives you in shaping your path, and then showing that play out with the citizens around you and how they're acting towards you. It is a horror game, and it's definitely a bleak story, but if you don't really scary, I don't think it's that kind of horror game here. More the imagery, the idea of vampires, but there's no real scares or anything else, so don't let the horror theme put you off if you're not into the genre typically. So one of my favourite games of 2019 now, Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, with a new all-time low, 55% off. This is 2D platforming at its finest, coming from many of the devs that were behind Donkey Kong, and it absolutely shows, because it not only owes a lot to that game, but by far the easiest comparison to make. This is technically now the second game, but this just outdoes the first in nearly every way, and that first one was actually an old school 3D platformer. Here though, expect a 3D overworld map to explore, solve puzzles within, and then this is attached to super polished 2D levels where the elements and ramping in difficulty challenges will no doubt slow you down. The most interesting thing though, the Impossible Lair, that final level, you can actually try it immediately, but just I will warn you, expect to die a lot if you do jump straight into it. There's probably a 99% chance of failure. To assist you, what you need to do is find the Royal Bee Guards that are scattered around this world. They will actually help you in taking down the evil capital B. Solid stuff, and one I've revisited a couple of times at this point. It's also, I gotta say, a crazy price for a lot of game here, and it's about as good as platforming on the Switch gets. So two games in the same series now, Deathmark and then the sequel Spirit Hunter NG. Deathmark's incredible. Horror visual novel fans play it immediately for some extremely creepy storytelling and imagery. 60% off, great deal. That said, I want to focus though on NG. I picked this up not long ago back in a sale, and it was my pickup of the week, and I do not regret it even slightly. While I wouldn't say it's better than Deathmark, it's kind of, more of the same. That really doesn't matter when you factor in the first game was so good, so more of the same is absolutely fine with me. It's basically a visual novel, a genre that doesn't normally get me, but then they've added in minor investigation moments and puzzles as you work out why these spirits have invaded your world. These two games, I've got to give a warning though, it's not one for the faint of heart, because if it's not for the gruesome imagery that gets you, then the creepy ass audio will. This warning as well especially goes for NG, that just ramps nearly every area of the scare factor. 50% off though, it's well worth a look if you like that kind of combination of genres. So my pickup of the week now, Where the Water Tastes Like Wine, coming in with 70% off. I was really excited for this one at launch, and then I read reviews and I swiftly put my credit card away. It turns out maybe I should have kept reading, because it seems to have divided and split audiences with reviews on Metacritic. The scores there, they're ranging everywhere from a 4 out of 10 to a 9.5 out of 10. At this low price though, I'm going to give it a shot, mainly because honestly, I just love the visual style it's going for here. When it comes to the gameplay, I'll be honest with you, I really have no idea what to make of it, honestly. The idea seems to be you'll find yourself wandering through a 3D overworld in a Depression-era USA, and you're going to be meeting folks kind of along the way. They'll tell you their story, and you must then try to pair this story to another character to uncover their true selves. It sounds strange, but I'm looking forward to giving it a shot. So our first winner of the week then, we've got Sam P pointing out they might jump in and grab Kentucky Route Zero, and I hope you did, because it's an incredible game. Well worth a look if you like something that's a little bit more on the weird and surreal side of things. It's also very story focused. Congrats though Sam, drop me an email, you'll find it in the video description down below, and then of course we still have a second winner coming up later in the video, but of course after a few more games. Alright, so a warning, or not a warning, but just a look around first, but 2K have done some solid drops on their digital builds of Bioshock, XCOM and Borderlands. Well, there's no question, amazing games, and nice enough discounts as well, 20% off on all three. I don't think it's really anything you can complain about. That said, I'd say shop around first, because right now, or at least in the US, Best Buy and Walmart, they have the physical releases of each of these for around the 35% off mark. So personally, I'd probably go that way if I was you and just save even more money. Now, if you're outside the US and don't have access to these offers like this, then absolutely buy them. Great games, solid ports, especially BioShock. But I just wanted to give you kind of like a heads up on this one that it seems physical's getting cheaper a lot quicker. Alright, so you want one of the best fighters on the Switch? I'd check out Undernight Inbirth EXE, the rest of the name. This 2D fighter is incredible and only comes second to BlazBlue Central Fiction. Well, I could speak for hours about this game. I'll say instead, just check out my in-depth review, you'll find it over on the channel. I break down, all the reasons. Fight fans will just absolutely fall in love with this one. You're going to be tackling here though this huge world with 21 different characters. There's an in-depth fight system, online play, arcade, story mode, training, great music, beautiful graphics. This thing has it all and is an absolute must buy in my opinion. The 30% off right now just makes that decision even easier. So now our penultimate good game before we get to our second winner of the week, as well as our final good game, and that one you should definitely, absolutely avoid. This one though, it's Little Dragon's Cafe, and while it's for sure targeting, or at least in a sense, a younger audience, there's no question about it, it's one that caught me off guard with how much fun I was having. It's simplistic, but they've just built a really nice world here that has characters that you care about, and that makes sense, to be fair, given it comes from the creator of Harvest Moon, which has a whole lot of charm in itself. The idea here is you need to raise a dragon to save your missing mother while keeping the family business going, the title cafe. Gameplay basically comes down to fetch quests, collecting and finding ingredients, and then preparing dishes that take the form of almost a rhythm game. It's not going to challenge you, there's really no way in fact to actually fail, but it is just kind of nice and relaxed, and sometimes I think you absolutely need that. It's all topped off then with some stunning visual design and a particularly nice audio score. Really like this one, and I think I've probably put about 20 to 25 hours into it over the time I've had it, and I'm still heading back to this world every so often. So our second winner of the week then, we've got Lawbroker, who commented on all the drama that was surrounding the sinking city and still is. If you don't know about it, I'd say head over to Twitter to find out more, or check out my video from last Saturday because most of those deals are still live as well. Basically though, they've been having a few difficulties, shall we say, with one of the publishers. Sadly though, I gotta say with that game, the sale is over right now, so I hope a few of you did manage to grab it. Drop me an email though to grab your code, and everybody else remember to drop a comment below to enter for a chance to win this week. So our final game of the week then on this one, it's Call of Cthulhu, which I've always struggled to pronounce, or you might say Cthulhu. But like The Sinking City, this is a Lovecraft-inspired piece. Set in 1924, you'll be taking on the role of private investigator Pierce, who is sent to the isolated Darkwater Island to investigate the death of the Hawkins family. What proceeds then is a first-person adventure experience where you can level up your character and just explore this trippy world as you uncover all the clues. It's not an action-packed game, I'll tell you that now, but what it absolutely nails is the atmosphere of this world and just the delivery of the story itself. I think it does a great job of just catching the spirit of the source material. There's a few moments that move kind of away from investigation, which are, I've got to say, a little bit weaker overall, but I didn't regret my time at all with this one, and I can easily recommend it with 55% off. The only thing I will say, this Switch build can be a little bit rough around the edges. It's a demanding game, so if you have options to maybe go play elsewhere, take a look at a few comparisons first and see where you want to drop your cash. Alright, so finally the game to avoid, something I occasionally do on the channel on these videos, but this week I had to talk about it, the disaster that is Hello Kitty Cruisers. I reviewed this over on the channel and I picked it up physically. That's right, I paid with my own cash and put this thing into my collection, and you may ask, but why? It's because this is actually a remake of a Wii U game that's a little bit more on the rare side of things now, and curiosity mixed with a sense of dread that, oh, it might become rare on the Switch, kinda got the better of me. Well, that never happened, and I was just left with a terrible kart racer. What it is targeting a younger audience, just don't punish them or yourself with this super slow, glitchy and just dull ride. Buy them pretty much any other kart racer on the Switch except for Race with Ryan. And that is it, another week down. Remember to head to Thursday's video for your chance to win either a copy of Celeste or Thronebreaker, and then drop a comment down below on this video for your chance to win one of 2 $10 eShop gift cards. As always then, like a huge shout out to the patrons of the channel who are going above and beyond to support Switch Corner. Helps more than you know, and it truly is appreciated. If you want to check that out for yourself, it is linked in the video description down below. With that then, like, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.